Even the new head of the FBI told his people to ignore that nonsense.
Well, yeah.
The guy Trump just appointed.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah. And it's like, it's the all roads lead to Rome. Hold on. Okay. The president did an executive order and then giving basically Elon Musk the power to do all these things. Elon sent an email out to every single person. Okay. How do we make this make sense? That half the departments were literally like, ignore that email because that dude is crazy. Okay. How do we make this make sense? Okay. We got it. Hold on.
We need to look.
Bro. It's unwinnable. This is an unwinnable argument.
You turn everything off and see what lights up. You know.
No, first of all, that's not how you find a blown fuse at all. That's like the dumbest analogy of the world. In order to find the problem, we're gonna shut every single thing up. Like, how does it even make sense?
And then we end up finding out that, you know, Tesla might be getting 400 billion for armored cars.
400 million. Billion would be an insane amount of money, but
or we find out
they're not doing that.
or they might they might be using Starlink.
Oh, well, that's
instead of
what
you know what I mean? Like,
look, I think
you don't think that
they're not going to like it anytime Musk gets paid by the U.S. government because he's working so closely with Trump.
Yeah, but it's conflict of interest. It's so simplistic that you shouldn't be doing that.
What's the other system though? Like.
Do we even know like what conflict of interest means anymore? Like conflict of interest, like it doesn't matter if the other options aren't great. It's just the idea that people would even like the idea that you're negotiating with a guy who's also basically running the government against contracts for his own company. It doesn't matter. Like even if they would have made the exact same choice otherwise, maybe they would have negotiated a better contract. Maybe it would have been a whole lot cheaper. Maybe there would have been some alternatives that they could have went with. But
Starlink is the only thing of its kind. Like it's there's no like Pepsi Cola to go with. You know what I mean? Like there's
Verizon.
Wait, who else? Satellite TV was a thing when I was in fucking high school. There's never been ever any other type of satellite internet provider. Is Starlink really the only one in the whole world? It might be the best. That wouldn't surprise me because they have the most coverage.
You don't think there's something wrong with the guy in charge of the budget making money from the budget?
Well, he's not in charge of the budget. He has no.
He's in charge of cutting the budget. You don't think that there's a conflict of interest of what he's doing?
Like this is like this should be a 14.5-minute conversation just on this topic because like you're clearly not in the proper headspace to even have a real conversation if you can't admit this, right? Remember, Hunter Biden, who wasn't even in office and had no influence whatsoever on any policy at all, him being on the board of an energy company in Ukraine was enough to investigate fucking Joe Biden, okay, for 350 centuries, okay? But now when it comes to the U.S. government negotiating its own contracts against a guy who is auditing every single department who's best friends with the president, well, I mean, like, get the fuck out of here. Oh my God, get the fuck out of here. This is so disingenuous.
Waste in presenting that to the president of the United States that we elected. In presenting that to the president.
There's a conflict of interest of.
Look at how good this is. Also, it's so nice. The human centipede of media. Do you see how like the 15 times digested shit is all the way down here out of Kyle's mouth now too? He won the election. Yeah, he's elected by the people. Elected by the people.
What he's doing
in charge of finding waste in presenting that to the president of the United States that we elected. Just like all the other people that work for him.
I'm sorry.
He's not running it by Trump. The guy's got.
He's not running it by Trump.
He's not running anything by Trump.
It doesn't matter. Even if he is, like the liberals here are biting, they don't even need to bite this bullet. Woody, it doesn't matter if he's running and bite or not. You would never accept this. You would never accept this with any type of Democrat leader ever. That some random dude, imagine random dude. Let's just go right to the big guns. Imagine George Soros running a department in the White House, auditing federal departments, and then selling his own services to the U.S. government. They would never accept this. Just ask him that. If George Soros was, no, you can't ask him because they'll just lie. Because Kyle will lie and go, well, you know, I'd probably be okay with it. They'll just lie about it. But you should at least say it for the audience. The audience, some of them will hear. Remember, you only need like 5%. 5%, guys. That's what we're aiming for over here, okay? 5%. It has to hear how ridiculous that would be on the conservative side.
Trump.
No, Trump is a handler.
Trump is sleeping during the press conferences, bro.
So you think that Musk finds the waste, and then he goes and writes an executive order to stop it himself? Like obviously.
And then look at how like Kyle phrases it in the most retarded way possible. Woody's response should be, this is what Woody's response should be. Okay, I was like, you think that Elon Musk himself writes executive? You should go, oh no. I'm sorry, you're right. Hold on. Let's bring up an executive order and read this. Do you think that Donald Trump wrote this executive order unassisted? I just want to hear you say that. I want you to say that the guy, and he's the best guy, and I've seen this guy, and he's the greatest guy, and he's such a guy, that's Trump, okay? He's the guy writing these executive orders and all the formalistic legalese and everything else. Seriously? You really think that? Donald Trump wrote the sentence, covered contracts and grants means discretionary spending through federal contracts, grants, loans, and related instruments, but excludes direct assistance to individuals. Like, really? Obviously, there are people that write him help the executive orders. Why can't Elon Musk be one of them, right? It's just...
He goes and writes an executive order to stop it himself. Like obviously.
You think there's an executive order for these things? That's what you're saying. You're saying that Trump is signing an executive order to cut Sesame Street. That's what you're saying?
I don't know how.
Well, you made it up, I think. Like, I really think...
Oh! How did Kyle go from, you really think this is how it works? To then Woody asking him a question. I was like, well, I mean, I don't know how it works. Oh, well, thanks for clarifying now that you've been called on your bullshit. So if Woody didn't question that, were we just supposed to assume that you did know how it was going to work? Like,
I'm not making.
He can literally
them a day. They're often based
tell people
on
not to go to work the next day. I've seen it on Twitter, right?
There's no procedure happening here.
Autonomy.
Yeah, there's no procedure happening here. There's no.
Also, keep in mind that while we are dooming on Trump, okay, so in a way, this last month has been both absolutely horrifying, but he's also been absolutely ineffective as a leader as well. Trump has not done anything in terms of agenda setting for Congress. Trump, like nothing is there. The budget stuff, I think, is in mayhem right now. I don't know if Trump's provided any guidance whatsoever. All Trump is doing is what he can by executive order. I don't know if anything meaningful has even been accomplished yet, other than the dismantling, I guess, of parts of the federal government that's being challenged in the courts, that the Supreme Court is now being forced to rule on in his first month in office. I
understand what you're suggesting is happening. You're making it sound like Elon Musk is writing laws and implementing them.
Like, imagine how crazy Kyle is being now. Like, are you saying that? Hold on, Elon Musk is walking down with an assault rifle and he's making people give him in what, $100 bills, money for his company? Like, nobody's saying that. The easy, strong version of Woody and Wolf Paintball's claim is just that Elon Musk probably has a huge amount of influence in the government and can influence them to buy contracts, especially when he's the one doing the auditing. He doesn't have to be writing the actual executive orders to do that. He doesn't have to be passing word for word or executive orders to Trump or passing law himself. Like, why such a ridiculous interpretation of what's being said here?
And altering our budget.
Decisions without laws.
What decision is he making?
What to cut and what to fund. That's a huge conflict of interest.
There's no way. No,
you're telling me Donald Trump signed an executive order to send the Ebola employees home? No, it's done willy-nilly.
Whoever sent the Ebola employees home, it wasn't Musk. He didn't order them home.
So USAID did it for fun? How do you think this stuff happens? Like, did they get bored?
It wasn't his. It wasn't.
But it's under his watch. It's his people doing it.
He should ask him, how do you think that happened? What do you think was the chain of events that led to them going home?
Yeah.
It's his organization doing it.
Yes, it is. Thankfully.
So it is Musk.
That's like saying the Secretary of State is working autonomously, or the Secretary of Defense.
Because they follow there's a judicial. That's why you have three separate forms of government to watch over the other. You have the judicial.
Fuck, he missed it. I thought he was going to say it, but no. When the Secretary of State or the Treasury Secretary, when these guys do things, he was saying it, and then he switched to this three branches thing. I don't know why I did that. They have procedures that they follow. I'm sorry. What department is Elon Musk a part of? Elon Musk wasn't even named the head of the own Doge department. So that should have been the question. What department is Elon Musk a part of to be cutting anything from USAID or the Treasury? or the SSA or anything.
How our government system works. It's our system.
Okay,
What I'm saying to you is the president is perfectly within his power to hire someone to go to work for him.
Then why are TROs being issued in multiple federal courts stopping exactly this type of behavior? This is, why am I?
You make it sound like he needs the president needs to be in there hacking through, like running through code.
No. I think he's saying
I
that
said you make
the president has no idea what's being.
As if the president has to have complete control and he has to have his hand in every pocket.
You're making it sound that way.
He
said that Elon's doing it without the president.
And you're like, no, the president is signing executive orders, making sure that like the checks and balances on everything Elon does. I'm like, no, I think Elon's working with a lot of autonomy. A word I don't know.
Autonomy.
I don't think that anything is happening. I don't think any changes are happening without Trump's okay. And if you watch these,
like, what do you mean when you say that? No changes are happening without Trump's okay. So do you think that they're running every single line item by Donald Trump?
Did you watch the meeting yesterday?
The cabinet meeting thing
where Elon spoke the whole time and Trump was sleeping?
Up there. He's like, Trump's the boss. What Trump says is what I do. I work for the president. And then you laugh at that. He's like, oh, he's lying when he says that. He's really in charge. Who's in charge?
I wasn't laughing.
Oh my God. But you guys laugh at everything. Obviously Elon is saying that, but like, so I just want to hear him say it then. You think that Donald Trump is the one going line by line? So then are we not supposed to believe that Doge is doing anything? Did Donald Trump okay the Doge website? Is Donald Trump writing memos to the Office of Personnel Management and the Office of the OMB is the is it monetary budget management and budget? Is Donald Trump passing memos to them? Like,
I was laughing. I was laughing because I don't think Trump.
Why would you think that? You didn't laugh.
I don't think Trump has any inkling of what Elon's doing.
Okay. Well, you've probably got more insight than I do on the issue.
So keep in mind, I guarantee you, I would bet $100, and by $100 I mean $100 million, that if we were to go back through all the PKA episodes, Kyle has probably accused the White House of being not run by Biden during his 4 years over 100 times. We all know Biden's not in charge. We know Biden's not doing it. We know Biden's not doing it. No, Biden's not doing it. But the idea that Musk, the guy who runs Doge, the guy who talks about Doge, the guy who's tweeting about Doge, the guy who is talking about all the things Doge is doing, that's not the guy running Doge and then effectively the rest of the federal government. It's actually Trump doing it while he's out golfing, or like, it's so disingenuous. Like it's such a, and then conservatives can always just laugh it off because
of what Elon's doing.
Okay. Well, you've probably got more insight than I do on the issue. But
I don't think it's a matter of insight. It's more of a matter of I don't think that Trump is signing off on what Elon is doing. I think Elon's just doing stuff and sending out emails and give us 5 points or you're fired. And Trump.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
But no one's doing it. Well, even the new head of the FBI told his people to ignore that nonsense.
Well, yeah.
The guy Trump just appointed.
Well, yeah. Obviously, yeah. And it's like, it's the all roads lead to Rome. Hold on. Okay. The president did an executive order and then giving basically Elon Musk the power to do all these things. Elon sent an email out to every single person. Okay. How do we make this make sense? That half the departments were literally like, ignore that email because that dude is crazy. Okay. How do we make this make sense? Okay. Hold on. I don't even know if I can guess the answer here. I actually don't even know if I can guess what he's going to say. Well, yeah, they told him to ignore it because it's got to be a gift that it's a muscle you exercise for MAGA. I actually can't even guess what he's going to say. What is he going to, how could he possibly explain away this? Well, yeah, because, oh, wait. Hold on. There's one way out. Well, yeah, because the email was sent by Musk and Musk doesn't actually have any power at all. And that actually proves my point. The fact that they weren't willing to respond to that email shows that Musk doesn't have anywhere near as much power as you say does. Maybe that's my one out. Okay, let's see what he says.
He fired a bunch of
And the reason you can ignore it is because he doesn't have any real power.
Oh, I got it. I live in the MAGA mind. I exist in the MAGA mind right here. Okay, I got it. And that just that proves your point even more that Musk has no power. Oh my God, we're there. Okay, we're there.
Right?
Well, but yet people are being sent home in other departments, though.
Yeah, they asked for a list of all the.
A lot of it is just like the facts too. There's just so many underlying facts, and I don't blame any of these guys for not being able to keep up with all of them because there's so much shit. But it's like, oh, they have no power. So when they tried to go into the Treasury building and they're firing every single person that gets in their way. Oh, we can't get in security. Fired. Oh, deputy security. Fired. Oh, the HR person fired. That's no power. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
the people who didn't reply. So apparently,
not everybody's standing up to Elon.
We need that list. We need to look.
Bro, it's unwinnable. This is an unwinnable argument. It's like you're fighting like a clown that exists in like 5 dimensions of Shadow Warriors, and it's like, holy
Look at
fuck.
that list and see how many of them are live.
Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with like asking IRS agents to be like, hey, what are you working on? Because like
I hate these arguments too. Like all of a sudden, the guys who are the most anti-bureaucracy, the most anti-anything, like all these middle managers, we need to be efficient. And it's like, well, I don't see what's so wrong about some random knuckle-dragging Neanderthal dipshit coming in and having you email saying, what are 5 things that you worked on in your job? I don't see the big problem with that. Like, how many hundreds of thousands of how big is the federal government? How many tens of thousands, 100,000 man hours are wasted responding to bullshit-ass fucking emails? Like, is Elon going to come around your offices and do stand-up with you in the morning to ask, like, what everybody's working on? Like, what? So now we're pro-bureaucracy? The
we all just admit, like, we all know there's a huge amount of bloat and waste. Like, we fund this. Like, every government employee who's sitting there on their ass doing nothing all day, like, we
this is what we're talking about with the left. You say, oh, the left likes finding the waste. I love that. But
they're not finding, you're not finding waste. Just as a reminder, to date, 0 proof of any waste, fraud, or abuse being found so far. How many weeks have they been there? Now, I almost can't believe it, because the federal government, there has to be some, I imagine. There's probably some waste, fraud, or abuse, I'm sure. But maybe you need somebody who actually knows how to do auditing, or somebody who actually knows how to find waste, fraud, and abuse. The only thing they've cut so far are just programs they don't like. That's not waste, fraud, and abuse. I'm sorry. Just because you don't like something, it can be the most trans drag queen storybook reading hour in the world. It could be a drag queen reading trans Harry Potter fanfic to pure black community children who are all being brainwashed at the same time. It doesn't matter. That's not waste, fraud, or abuse. It's a program that you don't like.
You know, they don't like who's looking for it. That's the problem.
I don't think either side likes finding it.
Yeah, I agree with what Kyle said.
They like waste more than they like the guy who's looking for it.
And it's especially sad because Kyle should know how bullshit these arguments are, right? This is like for all the trouble that he had with the investigations and the weed and all that bullshit, this is like the equivalent of like, oh, well, if you don't have anything to hide, you shouldn't be worried about people digging into it. I'm more worried about the fact that an ideologically possessed man who has no legal authority to audit these departments and no experience or history being able to competently audit departments is now running through every single federal department on an executive order that says that he's allowed to cut things that don't align with the president's agenda, who is now unilaterally hacking away at our federal programs. That's the issue. It doesn't. Elon Musk could be anybody. You could replace anybody in there. I wouldn't want anybody in that position. It's an insane position to even expect to be filled in. And there's a reason, again, why these temporary restraining orders, which are exceptional things, TROs are an exceptional thing from a court to issue, are being granted.
Right.
Finding it.
Yeah, I agree with what Kyle said.
They like waste more than they like the guy who's looking for it. They'd rather have their money wasted than have Elon be proven right.
Like, for example, they got rid of basically every probational employee, I think. You know, there were 6,700 IRS employees that got fired for being probational. And I'm like, man, that's like firing your sales force.
This is the most obvious. I'm going to get triggered. It's too early, guys. I've said this before. The IRS is like your litmus test for actual brain dead retard. Like, why would you want to fire the guys who are the only profitable like division in the government that's in charge of bringing in money to your government? I thought you cared about deficits. Don't we? Don't we care about deficits? Don't we care about shoring up the budget? Like, how are you going to do this if you fire your money collectors? And Woody's right. Yeah, it's like fire. It's like a car dealership is like, fuck, guys, we're having some big trouble with our sales figures. We're gonna go ahead and dump our entire sales floor. Okay, and we're gonna try to bring this back administratively, I guess. Like,
and I'm like, man, that's like firing your sales force. That's where the money comes in. Every dollar you spend on the IRS brings $3 in. Why did they get rid of all the probational IRS employees?
Okay, I need like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like TikTok. Are we going to answer that prompt honestly? Are we going to pivot to how much we don't like paying taxes? Or are we going to make a stupid joke? Those 3 options. Answer the question honestly for why the we fire probation officers. Maybe we don't need probation officers. Or are we going to say, well, I don't like them coming after my tax money anyway. Trump's tax cutting, so yeah. Or make a stupid joke and not answer at all. Let's find out.
It feels like they're hacking and slashing without enough thought involved.
I like that though, because I think it's the only way they're going to get to the bottom. I think that when you're looking for a blown fuse, you turn everything off and see what lights up. You know.
No, first of all, that's not how you find a blown fuse at all. That's like the dumbest analogy of the world. Okay, sorry.
I mean, like, I think that by turning vast areas off, cutting vast areas, sending bunches of people home, the things that actually matter are going to pop up and get attention.
This is, I guess, yeah, it's like like if a patient comes in and they have a headache, drain all their blood, suffocate them, and crush their dick, and then we'll see what, I don't even know how to, I don't even know like what world, in order to find the problem, we're going to shut every single thing up. Like, how does it even make sense? I want to hear him speak. I want one of these people, please. Wait, Kyle, could you just talk through that a little bit more? Okay, so you're saying that, so let's say, hypothetically, what could be a problem with government? Let's say some IRS agents are not doing their job correctly. Okay, so let's shut it all down. Can you talk me through the process of how you figure out who wasn't doing their job correctly now? I just want to hear that, please. Like,
cutting vast areas, sending bunches of people home, the things that actually matter are going to pop up and get attention and get money sent to them. And the things that didn't matter so much, the people that turned out not to be real, they won't speak up because they're not real, and their places those money are being spent aren't worthwhile.
I do think there's a lot of employees who don't work very hard in the government.
I agree with that totally.
That is true, but if you ever make that concession right before or right after, you have to say it's true in private industry as well. And anybody that has worked in any job ever in a large environment or not a large environment, small business, big business, all employees suck. And by all, I mean like 80%. That's just a reality of the world, okay? There is no, people act like private industry is like, oh shit, this guy, all of our software devs showed up 8 a.m. today. They got their coffee. They clocked in and went right to work. They timed their shits for 5 o'clock, so they're off the clock. They never do it on company time, and they're the most ruthless, cutthroat, efficient people. Like, oh, my friend John, like, oh yeah, it's real rough. We can never get a hold of him from 8 to 6 Monday through Friday because he's so locked the fuck in on his job. He's so ruthlessly efficient. It's actually insane. These guys are like fucking T-1000s. They go in like Terminator machines, and they're just so efficient. And they're like, bro, what industry do you work in where this is the case? Please, the fuck out of here.
Friends that work there, and that's what they tell me. Yeah, it's worse than the private sector.
We've all heard.
No, I would never grant that concession. I wouldn't grant that concession at all.
The jobs are a joke of asking the government to be leaner and meaner.
Yes,
I just don't think Elon is looking carefully enough to get the right people. Things like send me an email or you're fired, like. That's reminiscent. Has anyone else had a really bad boss before?
Yes.
You know, like a boss that makes you feel like you're about to lose your job for bad reasons.
Yep.
Like that's what Elon.
That's what I want for government employees, though.
I would rather have a boss that accurately measures the workforce and gets rid of the underperformers than one who sent like, hey, let's base it on this 5 bullet point email.
Like, this is the issue. Auditing is a skill in and of itself. There's a reason why auditing, like sometimes you bring in external companies to do the auditing for you. It's difficult to measure, to do all of your different performance metrics, to figure out who's working and who's not well. You know, can some employees be empowered to work better? Do some need to be, you know, pipped and then kicked? Do some, you know, they just need to go, it just doesn't work? Do we need to, you know, figure out a different way to organize departments? Like, these are difficult things to do. These are difficult things to do even for people that do it professionally. The idea that 102.5 IQ Elon Musk can come in, okay, grinning and cackling with one of his 17 fucking children, you know, hanging off of his back and pretend to understand anything about the function of government and how to audit these departments appropriately, it's beyond fucking stupid and naive and childlike. And, oh, well, he does rockets kind of, so he can probably come in and do anything.
Yeah, like you want to qualify people judging whether or not these jobs are effective or not. And like I said, the more trim, the better. The less government, the better I feel. But it has to be done reasonably and by people who know what they're doing.
I think if Elon's good at anything, it's this. I don't think he's an engineer. I don't think he's necessarily a genius. I don't think he's a rocket scientist or a financial expert.
But instead, he's a good government auditor.
But I think he's pretty good at trimming the fat. I think he's done that a lot. And I think he's really good at creating a workforce that is that type A personality, that go, go, go. Family is second, work is first. And you don't have to convince them of that. They're not going to post some mean text you sent them on Reddit and look how mean my boss was on anti-work. they're going to be like, yeah, of course, I'm already here. What are you talking about coming early? I spent the night in the office. I'm on my fold out. Like that seems to be
some truth to that.
Like, that's fine in a startup environment, or that's fine in like a super ultra cutthroat, in certain industries, that's fine. But do we want the average government worker to be that stressed to the limit? Like, I go into the DMV and they like wake up from the floor and they're like, oh, I spent the night, printing out new temporary paper licenses so I'd be ready to go. Like, keep in mind also that a lot of those people that are super ultra plugged in like that, these are people that are working startups that have like equity in the company. These are exceptionally talented people. This isn't your ordinary. It wouldn't be possible to have that ordinary expectation for a worker. You just wouldn't be able to find that many workers unless you want to like double or triple or quadruple the pay.
I think Elon
if anything, like
I wouldn't want to work with him. None of us would work for him. Fuck him. He's a piece of shit. But I want him to like be my whipmaster when my government fucking employees are going to work.
Why, if you're not even willing to work for him, every single government employee then should be willing to work for the slave like, bro, it's your government. These are your fellow citizens. These are the people that are providing social services. Like, why would you even want this? Like,
I want him to be the one asked, what'd you do last week? Name me 5 things you accomplished. Tell me. Write me a little story about it. Like, yeah, bully them. I don't fucking care. Those government fucking employees.
Why are we always conceding that there is enormous bloat or inefficiency in all government departments? Oh, I explained this before. There's like a tactic where you say, don't you think we have too much of a bad thing? And the answer always has to be yes. You can never argue against it because it's just the way that the sentence is phrased. It's like, who the fuck is going to argue against it? Like, imagine, you come in like, don't you think there's too much child abuse in public schools? And it's like, fuck me. I mean, Jesus. Like, am I going to say no? Well, yeah, I guess there is too much. Don't you think there's too much police on citizen violence? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, yeah. Don't you think there's too much, don't you think there are too many airplanes self-destructing in midair? I guess. I don't know how many. One is probably too much, right? It's just one of those questions where like, don't you think there's too much waste, fraud, and abuse? I guess. Sure, yeah. Is there, though? How much is there? Do you know what percentage of any budget is considered wastefully spent or fraudulently procured or like abused? Like, do you even have a concept in mind of like, well, I actually don't know how much waste exists in the private sector, how much waste exists in the public sector. How do you even measure waste? Like 99% of people that say, oh yeah, I think there is too much waste, they have no concept of what that even means, of what any of it means. But it's a thing that you kind of like tautologically have to buy into. Like, I guess there's too much waste, fraud, and abuse, because you're not going to say, no one's going to say, no, I think there's an appropriate amount of waste, fraud. No one's ever going to say it. It just sounds bad to say.
Like they work for us, and they might not need to. They get all of those benefits.
I think we all.
They don't get all of it. Like, the government employees do not make bank. That's just not true. They don't make well compared to their private sector equivalents. It's just not. That's just not the case. But I guess Elon has convinced everybody that of the fat cat. The fat cat DMV worker, or the fat cat who works down at the VA or the Social Security Administration, like,
for us, and they might not need to. They get all of those benefits.
I think we all agree with you on that point.
Security.
Yeah,
I think everyone agrees with you on that point totally. Yeah. But again, it's
to have anyone doing it is better than the history we have of no one at all doing it and just.
Oh, now like that's really smart and true, because I'm sure that nobody in the history of all of government kind has ever thought to look for waste, fraud, and abuse. It's not like almost every claim that Elon Musk has made, some Office of Inspector General has literally already written a report on, or that has already been addressed in some manner or form, or is currently being worked on. It's not like we have, government accountability office or anything else. Like, no. Finally, Elon Musk, the god, has come in to look at things. And it's like, okay. Like, Elon Musk could be assigned to any job in the world, and these people would like worship him for it. Like, did you see Elon Musk picking up trash off the street? I say, thank God somebody's doing it. Finally. Who would have thought that having a man outside picking up trash from the streets and putting it in a truck, thank God somebody's finally doing this. Like,
just letting this grow into a massive bloat monster with like no KPIs at all. Like no
KPI. What is KPI?
It's just
no KPIs, no key performance indicators. What you think there's no way whatsoever? Like, give an example of what a KPI would be for which government office. Like, how do you do KPIs for USAID for Ebola, for instance? Like, are you trying to save a certain number of people, or like what?
just like it's like metrics through which you can determine the success of a job. So like someone who's sitting on their
like
ass,
a return on investment per employee kind of thing.
Yeah. So like someone sitting on their ass at the DMV in the back, there's no metric by which to determine they're successful. And so
really, not a single government employee has a certain number of applications they're supposed to work through a day, a certain number of customers they're supposed to deal with a day, a certain number of deliveries, or a certain, like, nobody in the whole federal government. Seriously? There's just no expectations for any federal job. You get a job and they're like, oh, show up, make sure you're dressed, and then, okay.
So if they get fired, they're going to go, no, I'm being attacked here. And it's like, no, actually, you haven't been doing anything. Like, no one's checking on you.
So this is what Cisco did. They made their managers fire 10% of their staff every quarter.
Jesus.
Right? I thought that was fucking ruthless. Right, that's 40% of your staff a year. Not every manager really did it. Sometimes some of them would work to protect their staff. Right. Percent of your staff quarter. Right, I thought that was fucking ruthless. Right, that's 40% of your staff a year. Not every manager really did it.
Oh, per quarter. He means okay. Jeez.
Sometimes some of them would work to protect their staff. They said they like the people they have.
I'm curious. I don't know anything about the Cisco thing, but I'm curious if that was like a new CEO came in and they were trying to like brutally cost cut because they were trying to turn the company around or something. Maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, what if they did that for a while? Hey, 10% of your staff gets cut. And then instead of Elon from 10,000 feet, 30,000 feet in the air.
Do we even know that the government is even bloated at all? Or is it just a baseless truism that we all intuited because that's right? No, it's just what I said as a truism. It's just like, oh yeah. Like, is there too much violence from cops to citizens? Yeah, there must be. Is there too much child abuse in schools? Yeah, there must be. Are there too many priests raping kids? Yeah, there must be. Is there too much doesn't mean anything. What you're really saying is like, is this thing bad? And the answer is always going to be yes. That's really all you're emoting there. And people have to say yes, because you're never going to say no to any of those questions,
Making guesses at who's good and bad, using shitty fucking incompetent metrics like who replied to an email, and having their manager pick out their least.
Like a good question here would be, can you name one thing that Elon has done that seems like a way to increase worker productivity? Like one thing. What's an example, or what's one example of like waste or fraud or abuse that's been cut? Because the bullshit ass email, that ain't it.
Metrics like who replied to an email, and having their manager pick out their least effective employee.
I do see the 30,000 feet thing about the email, but like if Jeff Bezos sent that out at Amazon, like you bet your ass every employee who's actually working is responding.
Bezos built that company almost from the ground up. No shit, they would fucking respond. But I don't even know if Bezos sends emails like that, because they're probably fucking retarded emails. But Bezos is the CEO of your company, and he's been intimately involved in a lot of Amazon for basically since its inception, right? Like, what is the comparison here?
Like, the only people who are going to ignore that at Amazon are people who are
there's people who might be away, people who have more emails, people who are on vacation. Like, I want to see them go through the very good metric.
That was sent out like a Saturday, wasn't it?
I don't know. And then, like Trump said, "Oh, we asked someone what they do, and if they stutter, they get fired." And I'm like, there's a good way to evaluate your tech staff. Like in IT, you're going to lose your whole fucking IT.
Yeah, because they don't know how to deal with people, right?
Now you talk about something that I can agree with you the left a little bit on. I saw these. They're getting rid of all the trans people in the military, and from what I understand, our trans cat boys are leading the world with that drone technology. When you go into one of those rooms, really? I think those are the hackers and the.
This is like the truly thing in our media environment is that the only thing that Kyle is on board with is what's been adequately memed about enough on Twitter. This is the information landscape that we win in. There have been so many catboy, trans femboy memes about the Ukraine versus Russian drone wars, everything. And that's enough for him to turn his mind on that issue. So we just need more, I guess, trans femboy memes and all the other parts of the government in order to, I guess, save the government. Is that I'm a government employee doing software dev on a flight simulator, and it's disheartening hearing the public talk about us. It feels like they think all government positions are run like the DMV or post office. Well, you, Mr. Government Employee, because even that, I mean, the idea that is a DMV run poorly or there's not enough employees there. And for post offices, I think post offices are still all self-funded. I don't think the post office takes any money from the government at all. That's a fully self-sufficient operation that guarantees mail to, I think, every single postal address of the United States of America. So fuck you for shitting on your fellow post officers, all right?
The network security guys and those.
You think they're the ones with the
operators?
Xbox controllers flying
Those
around?
are the guys that look. They're blowing up Hodges during the day, and at night they're putting their foxtail butt plugs in, and they're having a good time. I saw
effective strategy.
But what's interesting though, there's always an addendum, which I think is smart from him. It's never a closed door. It's I don't know. It's putting a guy by the door. He said all of them have to leave the military, et cetera. But they're not going to hunt them down or identify them necessarily. And they also added this thing at the end. It was like, also, if we really need you, we'll just keep you, basically, in other language. And they were like, if you've got a General Catboy, you don't have a damn thing to worry about.
Sergeant at ease. And he starts licking his hand.
It's like, I love the concept. I hate the incompetence behind the firing. And to Taylor's point, I do get where he's coming from. Hey, I'd rather have someone incompetently try to trim the fat than no one at all. You know, and I see that. I get that. I just want better. You know, the security thing, right? The Republicans went fucking bonkers when Hillary used a private email server. But they take all taxpayer information and put it on Musk's private server, and they don't have a problem with it.
Oh, I haven't heard about that. Oh, shit. I was going to say, how is he going to respond to this? I don't think I would have guessed that. I think I would have guessed something about like, well, Elon is part of the government, so it's okay or something. But now it's going to be one of the, I haven't heard anything about this at all.
It at all.
They put it on his private server.
I think so, yeah. I read it.
I'm
only as good as my sources. They copied it and put it on his yeah.
And who's even regulating
about it? Only
I would love to see some proof of that.
Oh my God. And now the skeptic. Well, hold on. I'm going to need proof for that claim. And you know that it's not going to be fuck a CNN article, WAPO, New York Times. It won't be in the form of an article. It's going to have to be a tweet that has like a fucking picture with Elon Musk and his grandma standing next to him to positively ID him, with a fingerprint scanner that lines up with some US biometrics database saying it's him, logging into a computer system that when you log in, it says, hello, Elon Musk, South African immigrant, owner of these 4 companies. Welcome to your database. And it's got to be like, oh my God.
I read was that he has no more access than college interns, which there are many that are working with the government, and there are lots of those guys.
What does that sentence even mean? Like, this is nonsense. I heard that he has no more access than college intern. Is it a college intern who's authorized to work in the department and has been given the necessary clearance to go? Why does it matter if it's a college intern? What the fuck? What does that even matter? What? Like, imagine you're sick at home and your uncle comes over with a fucking syringe and you're like, excuse me, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, oh, you said you were sick. I'm going to help you. Why the fuck would I want you to inject me with random shit? Isn't your doctor like 35 years old? Why do you trust him? I'm like 50. Why would you trust your doctor? He's 15 years younger than me. Like, what does anybody being a college intern have to do with having access to anything?
College interns, which there are many that are working with the government, and there are lots of those guys who have the same sort of, they called it read-only. I don't know anything about anything, but read-only.
I like how he doesn't know anything about anything, but he's heard the propaganda because he's repeating the propaganda line. Oh no, they had read-only access. They didn't have any write permissions, which, by the way, doesn't even disprove what he's saying. So they could only read all of our data? What do you mean? Or like, what?
Sounds to me like you can only read the data. You can't alter or
copy it or take it out or anything.
Or execute it.
So that sounds to me.
Why could you not copy a read-only file? You can't write to that file or the directory that's read-only. Why could you not copy a read-only file? What do you think reading a file is? Do you think you actually take the disk out and open it up and look at the laser engravings with your eyeballs? What does it mean to read something?
Or
copy it or take it out or anything.
Or execute it.
So that sounds to me like the exact amount of access that you'd want to give Elon Musk so that he can read it and find any waste. And then again,
like, what is it? Elon opens the hard drive. Yes. Let me scroll through the JSON, the config, the SQL database. Let me read all this data and find the fraud. Like, what? This is what I want. just walk me through how you think Elon would find fraud from start to fraud. I want you to walk me through this whole process. I just want to know what you think. I want to know what you think it sounds like. That's what I want to know. Just what do you think it is? Like, so Elon wakes up, he logs into his email, he gets a bunch of lines of code, and then he looks at it and he's like, well, that looks fraudulent to me, I guess. Like, what do you think he does?
Report back to the president, since he has read-only access and he has no power to change or access anything.
Change or access anything? What is read-only access? What is he? He's not even saying. These are like, I feel like I'm listening to my mom and dad like talk about.
Like,
I don't see anything about
sense to me.
Yeah, I don't see anything at all about Elon having access on a private server to any IRS information. It looks like he wants Doge to have access to IRS taxpayer data.
Oh, so he just said, I don't wait.
Elon having access on a private server to any IRS information. It looks like he wants Doge to have access to IRS taxpayer data.
So he wants his company thing or his community people or whatever the fuck to have access to the IRS taxpayer information. What part of this is not connecting?
For attempts to unroot fraud.
Zach has a paragraph here that says it's all on a government server.
Yeah.
They brought in their own servers and made copies, I read. I don't know. Keep getting stuck behind paywalls. I can't find it in seconds. But
This is just from ABC. It doesn't. I control F server.
Well, again, I don't.
Wow, Briscoe, thanks for your 5 sub.
I don't quite grasp.
Looks like he's just
the
asking for
security.
access.
I don't grasp the security risk, I suppose, of that being true. Even,
Dude, I don't want the government.
Of allowing like I said, I wish we could insert like George Soros doing this, because if George Soros did this, these guys would become security experts in a microsecond. As soon as you say, so George Soros has, they'd be like, excuse me, isn't this data stored at a SCIF? Do we know if they're bringing in drives? Do they have physical access to the machines? Like, how can we be sure that if they're able to read the data, that they're not making digital copies on other, like all of a sudden, every single tech fucking OPSEC jargon you've ever heard in your entire life would come out. But now it's Elon Musk. Well, I mean, it's like college interns, bro. Like, I don't know. Aren't they just like on Windows, bro?
Know my social security number.
Ray, tell him, Taylor.
That's between me and God.
And then it's a joke. Oh, it's just my social security.
true, even.
Dude, I don't want the government knowing my social security number.
Oh, it's just the government. And then it's a joke. And then it's always a joke. But if it was Hunter Biden and Burisma, oh my God, bro. The machetes would be coming out for how deadly serious this is. Or Hillary, the buttery emails. Okay, buttery emails. Hillary's email. Oh my God.
Ray, tell him, Taylor.
That's between me and God.
If Kamala Harris would have won the election and George Soros was the one auditing the federal government, this podcast would be dead, because Kyle and Taylor would have already joined the fucking revolutionary MAGA guard and they would be armed up in DC, like trying to fight back against the federal government. That's how crazy this world is. But when it's Elon Musk, it's a mean joke. But
And the men's warehouse.
That's between me and God and my Quick Trip credit card.